So thank you everyone who is joining us today. Again, we will be recording this session for anyone who is unable to attend. Thank you so much for joining us for our 5th episode in Remote 2020 internship series. Okay. So just to explain briefly a little bit about Absolute Internship, as I know many of you were hoping to learn a bit more about us today, in addition to our guest speakers. We have been organizing internships since 2009, working with over 5,000 students. On average, our students are from 53 different nationalities in our program, so extremely diverse, and this is something that companies and students rate really highly about our programs. We work with over 30 different industries and 800 host companies. So today you will get to hear from 3 of our amazing host companies, and we work with companies based in London, Paris, Stockholm, Barcelona, Madrid, and Lisbon in Europe. And in Asia, we're working in Shanghai, Hong Kong, Beijing, Singapore, and Tokyo. So just to give you a quick overview of our internship program and the remote options here, you have all the different inclusions. You can find all the information on our website. The program starts every 2 weeks and is for a duration of 4 to 16 weeks. So it's very flexible and works very well with students and companies. So let's go ahead and get started. Today our topic is startups, employment opportunities in times of uncertainty. My name is Sabrina. I am the University Partnership Manager for Absolute Internship, and we are based in Barcelona, Spain. So let me just briefly introduce our speakers, and then I will give them the floor. We will have question and answers at the end, so please bring any questions you have for our speakers today. So to get started, we have Janthana, who is the CEO and founder of Tapoly, the first on-demand insurance platform for the gig economy in Europe, and winner of Insurance Provider of the Year at the British Small Business Awards 2018. She is listed by Forbes as number 6 of the top 100 women founders to watch, and is among the top 10 insurance tech female influencers, according to the Insurance Institute. Janthana is a chartered accountant and formal internal audit director at top-tier investment banks. Okay, so thank you so much, Janthana, for being here. We also have Jaume, who has a PhD in chemistry, an MBA, and a Bachelor of Science in biochemistry. He's had a wide experience in biotech, chemical, and pharmaceutical companies, both multinational and national, with international projection. And he works within operations, research, development, administration, finances, human resources, general management, pretty much everything, and as a founder of 3 biotech companies. So thank you so much, Jaume, for being here with us today. And then we have Josué, who's coming from Madrid today. He's a telecommunications engineer, and he oversees and manages technological projects. He is a lover of new technologies and the human factor that makes them evolve, and he is coming from a PicTime today. So thank you so much, all of you, for taking time out of your very busy schedules to meet with us and speak. And I will go ahead and let you have the floor and just explain more about your companies, and then we'll get into some questions. So Janthana, if you'd like to start.
Yes, let me then share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone. And a pleasure, great pleasure for being here and present you Tapoly. So Tapoly is a UK-based insurtech company. We have, won a few awards, and our specialties is in micro insurances for micro businesses and freelancers. In terms of, the company setup, we are managing general agents. What does it do? It's basically a broker with a pen. So we can create our own products, as well as we can sell insurance to consumer. We are a cover holder of Lloyd's, so that means that we are part of the Lloyd's of London market, insurance market. We are one of the first few insurtech platforms that offer commercials liability product for UK-based businesses and individuals. And then, of course, like we've got another product, which is a SaaS solution that we sell to insurance company. We are fully authorized by the FCA here in the UK, and also, we've got some operations outside UK. We currently have customer in Australia, in Asia, in US, Europe, and also UK. And like in terms of the teams, we've got a relatively small team of about 12 people. Most of them are tech related. We kind of have our departments. We've got anything from sales, marketing, PR, operations, and IT predominantly. So we are a very tech-driven company. We love anything to do with kind of technology and insurance, basically within our bandwidth of providing services to the incumbent, which is the insurance company, as well as we face off the consumer side because we are selling insurance as well.
Thank you. Jaume, if you'd like to share your screen.
So thank you all. I'm so sorry because of lack of time. That is something that is usually on the last 2, 3, 4 years. I have no specific presentation of our company right now, but because of we are a company that we work mainly in biocatalytic research and for some pharmaceutical companies. I also think that maybe our standard presentation should be so much boring. So I will try to do it in a very innovative way, that is introduce our company without any document. As a very basic information, we are a research biotech company, and we are focused on the research and development of biocatalytic processes that I will explain what's the meaning of that, for the production of high value molecules at industrial level. So production for pharmaceutical molecules or all type of high value molecules we develop and scale up for our customers or by our own new bioprocesses, where we use enzymes or microorganisms for performing the specific chemical reaction that is on demand, right? So we have been on the market since 9 years, and we are 10, 12 people. We work with a lot of different research departments, universities all around the world, specialized in the same work or the same area where we are. And our business model mainly is if we work for a company, for a pharmaceutical or chemical company, we provide our services for that development of that bioprocess, and then of course well, the rights involving intellectual property, licensing, patenting, that kind of things. And we can also do it by our own. And once we have developed a new bioprocess, we put it on the market and we sell to interested companies. Because of so, we are absolutely linked through the chemical lab. So we need instrumentation, because at the end we live from the results, the experimental results that we obtain in our lab or in the labs that we work with. And this is something that, let's say, maybe has not so much to do with the program that we are developing today, is that how uncertainty can affect our way of doing business, or how can these last months change the way that we have been operating in the past or traditionally. And in this case, I must say that because of our activity of research is basically an uncertain activity, So I have to say that I am joking, but I am not joking at all, that we have been living within uncertainty from the very beginning. So then the current situation, or let's say how technologies or how society will change our lives in terms of more or less availability to travel or that kind of things, or how do we have relations with other partners or so. It's clear that all this will be changed in a more, let's say, online way, more than presidential meetings. But at the end, we are still living from the machines and the instrumentation that we have in our labs. So 10 years ago, we needed chromatographs, atomic absorption devices, bioreactors, that kind of chemical instrumentation. We need it now, and I don't know for sure how world will be on the next 10 or 20 years, but for sure we will still need that kind of machinery, right? This is something that this is of course a limitation, right? But based on that, we know that this will never change in our business. All the rest can be adapted, and in this sense, and as we will discuss later on, the opportunity to have students in practices with us, not in the standard way that is, of course, having them with us, hosting them with us, working with our machinery, that is our business. Instead of this, having these students with us working from the other corner of the world, some things cannot be done, but other things can be done even better.
Great, thank you. Thank you for that introduction, Jaume.
That's it.
Josué, sorry.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Josué, and I am the CTO of PicTime. As you can see in the slide, if you are able to see it here. My mail is josue@pictime.es, so feel free to contact if you have any, if you want to know more about what we do, but I'm going to try to explain myself as well as possible about what we do. Okay. PicTime, as we said, is the real app. We connect users with their friends so they can share real moments. As we said, real life, real time, PicTime. We try to avoid people for searching the perfect moment to get the best clothes and the perfect environment to impress your friends, sorry. Change the rules of the game and dare you to share natural, fun, and real moments with your friends. So how we do that? We have an application that you can download it from the stores. Please do it. And well, we have a mode that in which you can send a request to say to your friend that you want a picture from them. So once he receives this request, he will be able to open the camera just for 3 minutes. So you only have 3 minutes to send this content to your friend. You have also a different way to send the content in something that we have called the PicTime swap. So you can send a blocked photo or video to your friend, and he can only unblock it if he sends a picture back as a reply. So it's like a photo interchange. I send you one photo or video if you send me another one, just to be sure that it's fair. What we have? Well, as I said, we have an open downloadable application on Android as well as on the App Store for iOS. And after 2 years of developing a beta version, we are now ready to launch our first version on the first quarter of the next year. and we have refined the roadmap of our product, as well as we have created our commercial plans and attracted some core talent to our team. And we are still a small team, but in a nice company. That's great. What can I say? I can tell you about our architecture, but it's probably a little bit boring for those people who is not on this world. So I just have to say that we are working on cloud using artificial intelligence, big data, machine learning, and all the things that is now trending. So nothing special here. So as I say, please download our open beta that is available, so we can share these real moments on the app.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So let me reshare my screen again and we'll get to our questions. You can see my screen, right?
Right.
Okay, perfect. All right, so to ask you guys some questions and then we will open it up to our attendees at the end. How would you say your business has adapted to the current situation? I know Jaume spoke a little bit about that. And any innovative ideas, processes, structures, products that you guys have created since this current situation with COVID. So Janthana, I don't know if you want to start and speak about how your business has adapted, or maybe it was already ready for this.
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. So, as I tell you before, and I understand that there are two different points that we can see the current situation. One is, of course, this dramatic pandemic. The pandemic, that's the point, I guess. The other one is how TAC, telecommunication capabilities that are increasing. That is a constant process, improving every day or every year is changing our business model. In the first point, how this pandemic has affected us and how this has changed our business model or our way of doing, as I tell you before. Of course, we have adapted, but I don't consider here let's say the health safety measures that we have adapted in our lab to protect and all our people working safe. That's one point. Because of the type of activity that we have not stopped any day. So we are let's say a crucial or a critical company, so we cannot stop. So, and because we are a small company, for us has been relatively easy just to modify our internal protocols to work safe. That's the point. Let's say work safe, considering that because we work in a chemical and microbiological lab, we always need to work safe from the very beginning. So pandemic is a risk, but in our case, chemical risk, burnings, explosions, that kind of things are always a risk. Microbial contamination is always a risk, not only because of this virus, because of other microbes that we work with. So for us, this has not been a big issue because we were used to work on that situation, and because of our activity is based on the results, the experimental results that we obtain in our lab, and with or without pandemic. This pandemic, a chromatograph is a chromatograph, and a chemical lab needs to operate exactly the same way to obtain results, because what we are doing is research for new APIs, new pharmaceutical ingredients, that kind of things. We have not changed nothing, not so much about that. What has been a real change is in all the rest of, let's say, communication issues that are not our core business, but are crucial points too. I mean, of course, we travel dramatically less than before. All our meetings are online through a screen instead of presential meetings that we used to do before. That kind of things, of course, they have changed, and we have to. And this has been a very easy issue, just to adapt to share documents, share knowledge with our customers, with universities, whatever, through a screen instead of doing through a paper all around the table. That's I think that is more a question, a conceptual question, more than a real difficult point, and this has been not a real issue. And because of so, I should say that our activity has been more or less the same that it was. But
okay.
There's another point, and this is more or specifically related with the technologies that we use for the development of our the bioprocesses, the research that we are doing, is that on the recent years, the capability of, let's say, computational capability has increased dramatically a lot. So with an hour of calculation using, of course, in our case, supercomputers. So we work with the computers we have in our lab, but also with public or private supercomputers. The amount of data that we can manage, we can handle per unit of time, it's much bigger, and some tools that just 2, 3, 4 years ago were not more than an hypothesis and something that in future could be done, but at that moment was not possible, or were not possible. Now this is a reality, and we are using these techniques for our standard activity. I mean that, for instance, we now are able to design new enzymes. You know that for the not the specialist people present here, it is must be almost everyone. So enzymes are proteins that are really high complex molecules, very complicated molecules, and these acts like natural catalyst, and all the chemical reactions that life is performing are done through these enzymes, this catalyst. So design a molecule like that. The current state of the art up to the recent years was knowing one enzyme and isolating one enzyme and determining their structure. Then from this, go through modifications through different molecular biology techniques that I will not explain now, of course. Don't worry. But now we can accelerate this process so much, both in time and in terms of less cost, using mechanical quantics and computational capability.
Oh,
and
great.
Now we are starting, or in fact, we are now in a couple of projects, we are expressing enzymes for the resolution of synthesis of specific molecules. That, by the way, one of these molecules is involved in this COVID pandemic. So for solving this synthesis of a molecule that from a chemical point of view was absolutely or almost impossible to produce, and I mean impossible, I say that the cost of the chemical synthesis was absolutely impossible in terms of some million euros per gram of molecule. That makes no sense, so no one will use a molecule like that. So using computational capability, we have been able to design specific enzymes that had not been isolated from nature. Now we have it. Now we are expressing this on bacteria, and it seems it will work.
Okay.
It's a way that if this work, and if this not work, will work in next months coming. So we should then be able to design and put in service a brand new enzyme, not existing before, that has been specifically designed for one specific reaction. And this, of course, can save a lot of money, and in this case, will save lives, right?
Great.
So in this case, computational capability, or at the end, telecommunications, TIC is more or less the same. Josué know much more about that than me, but all that kind of, let's say, lateral, crucial technologies, but is our environment. It's not our core business, but we need this a lot. This is affecting our business in this extensive way that I have just put you an example, but this demonstrated that in the recent years, all these electronic and computational technological platforms will affect in a very positive way to other activities, like, for instance, in our case, basic molecular biology research.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Jaume, for that really in-depth explanation. That's great. Janthana, would you mind explaining a little bit about how you guys have adapted as well to this situation?
Thank you so much for that. I think, like the fact that we are an early stage company, we've been around for 4 years. So our entire system infrastructure and also the kind of team structure is catered for working from home. So most of our teams have access to our application or key systems, and they can work from anywhere, from the anywhere in the world anyway. So we don't actually have issue whether it's the tech, the process, or the people. So we are much kind of cater for COVID-19 situations than any other traditional insurance player. So certainly, in terms of the innovations, we obviously in the business of creating new exciting business. So we've already have the concept of on-demand insurance is relatively new. It's only been around a couple of years, and we heavily invested in our technology. So our technology today is built on the latest machine learnings and AI techniques. So we are building that, and we are kind of enhancing our existing systems. So that's the yes.
Great, thank you. And Josué, what about you? How have you guys adapted to this situation?
Well, I have to say that before all the pandemic, we were working on remote most of the time. So in our particular specific case, we just moved some of the meetings online, but the rest of the work were monitored online. So, for example, for the developers, the code were on the cloud, so it was easy to adapt to the situation. In the case of the documents we shared, we use Google Documents, so we can edit all the documents online at the same time, and it's even better than working on the same document physically. But it's true that we have noticed that meetings sometimes are not we don't have the same creativity when we are together. That's one of the problems that we have. But in the last few days, Google Meets has launched a new Jamboard plugin in which you can draw what you want and sketch the draws that you want, and that helps us a lot. And talking about our product specifically, we have to say that during the lockdown, people want to share moments with their friends. So one of the functionality we have is the possibility to send an image and request one image back. So during the lockdown, a lot of people were sending like more private photos because they feel like they want to feel someone close to there. We have to say that we don't see the photos, but we have an algorithm based on machine learning who is trying to detect what is people sending. So we have noticed that people is starting to use this functionality to intimate with their couple. Why not? And well, they also are enjoying this functionality because it's a way to say, okay, I want to know what pajamas are you wearing, and I want to share my pajamas, but only if you send me first a photo of your pajamas. So this is a safe way to do it. Why not?
That's so interesting. And just to follow up on that, Josué, what unique opportunities do you provide to students that want to intern with you?
Well, we worked with Absolute Internship this year, and we start working with Yunus, a great candidate that was developing with us part of our backend in the last summer. So, well, one thing that he said is that he learned about how real applications works. And I mean that when you are on the college, everything is working great over the paper and the theory, but on reality you can see that everything is not working, or suddenly the server goes down and you have to overcome to everything that comes. And also when you are on the college, in the case of the technology part, people is learning about how to code using Python, for example. But on real life, we move to frameworks, and that kind of frameworks are not not common to be taught on the university. So that kind of things is the the things that Yunus, in this case, that was the candidate, told us that he learned. And when you are working in a small company, you can ask not only to the technology side, but also to the marketing or other things, and you can learn a lot.
Great, thank you. Janthana, what about you for unique opportunities that you provide to students? And then we'll get Jaume after you. Yeah.
Yes, we love technology-based students. So anything to do with, kind of data analytics, AI, machine learning, you name it, we love those. So if, anyone who are interested and already study this field, then obviously, we have opportunity there. We've also, like take on student that have interest in graphic design, because obviously we do a lot of kind of online marketing. So we need someone who can come in and, kind of building some of our assets, digital marketing assets. And then, of course, the marketing and sales and admin in general, we do, kind of have vacancy available. And we take on the internship pretty much throughout the year. Currently, we've got students from all over the world. We've got, kind of anything from China, Hong Kong, Singapore, America. We've got a few Americans students working with us already, and also some in Europe, like, France, Italy, Germany, in the UK. So we've got, students from all over the world coming to us for internships. We've also got, pretty good internship programs. So it lasts anything between 4 weeks to about 6 weeks. And during this 4 week to 6 week, you would be assigned a mentor and also line manager who would be reviewing your tasks on a weekly basis. We've got a weekly call. We also, if they are coming over in presence, then we would assign a buddy as well. A buddy is just, a person in the office that would be responsible for showing you around. So typically our students are not always come from local, so they come from other part of the world, and you get to, go out, hang out as a team. So that's, like the role of the buddy is to get them settled in the UK and get them to experience the London culture. We've also, of course, have kind of, exit interview where I would personally offer some advice about, like kind of career advice, just general advice that they can do to improve their performance or their kind of a career opportunity in future if they want to do certain things. So I certainly like to pass on my experience to other people who may wanted to either have, kind of set up their own business or are interested in, like moving fast in their career or just get a specific job, for example. Because yes, that is the kind of thing that we do within Tapoly. So we, of course, working with virtual internship as well. Yes.
Great, thank you. And Jaume, what about you? What type of opportunities do you provide to student interns?
Yeah, well, I think in our case, because we are, as I told before, a biotechnological research company, and we are linked and we need our lab, or we need chemical and molecular biology labs. We need this because of that. So our opportunities are not unique, are more specific. I would like to say that because it's clear that every year a lot of new biotechnologies, new organic chemists, new molecular biologists comes into the market, right? And when your activity or the activity that these new professionals want to develop is more or less related with science, so in fact you have or they have just two options: or they stay at the university, this is something not possible, or maybe this maybe not be so much convenient, and because of different issues, I will not go into this. And if you want to develop such a type of career on industry, there are not so much opportunities because you have to enter into a big multinational corporation, or we have the other option that is small SMA or startup companies as we are. So in our case, it's not a question of providing or offering unique opportunities, but also specific, because at the end, the number of SMA or startup companies operating in our business, in our area, all around the world is not so high. So there are not so much companies. Of course, there is a lot of, let's say, university research departments working in our area, and there is a lot of scientists working for big multinational research departments on the big pharmaceutical or chemical companies. Of course, they are a lot of people working there, and a lot of people working specifically in biocatalysis. But in this case, as Josué told, if you are entering one of these big corporations to develop your practices or your first job, you will be specifically focused on your work, in our case, your molecule, your boss, and you will not move around here. And even in your molecule, you will be focused on, for instance, development of this specific analytical technique for analyzing something, or this the resolution of this specific chemical structure. Also, if you have the opportunity to develop this this activity in a small company, of course you will be focused on this, but you will be required to cooperate in other projects to find out information, make bibliography. So you will have a more global vision of the whole business, point number one. And point number two, especially important in a point that I think that is a clear differentiation between academia and industry. You will experience, or you will suffer, I should say, the high pressure that be on the market being pushed by your customer is. So One thing is make research, biocatalysis, whatever, don't mind. When the goal is just a new publication or communication of results, this is one thing, and the other one is just do exactly the same, but because one customer is asking you for that, and you need to provide good results, and then the process that you have to scale it up must be economically feasible. So at the end, if you design a new bioprocess, that the product will be produced at a higher price than before with a chemical standard method, makes no sense. So experience the whole business and this kind of pressure, I think it's something that it's important to at least to have experience that, because maybe when you have not been working before, because you have just finished your university years, you can have an idea, or you can have an ideal idea of what life in industry is, or how could be make research on industry, that it suppose that you will earn more money, that kind of things. But these other, let's say, darker aspects maybe are not on the mental scheme of all those students.
Yeah, that's a really, sorry, Jaume, that's a really good point. And we hear that from a lot of students that they have interned for really large corporations or have worked for large corporations. And they're actually looking for that experience with smaller companies or startups, because they will be able to touch more things, get involved. They'll be able to be close to leadership, which is something that's very difficult to do in such a large, multinational company.
That's clear. Just an example. In our company, you will be in touch, or you will suffer the CEO every day, every hour. That's me. So we share the same working room, we share the same lab, so we are in permanent contact the whole day. So that's another way of doing.
Great, that's great. And then just real quickly, what are the main skills that you all are looking for in terms of an intern? So if you had to say like just 3, keywords that you're looking for in an intern for you.
Sorry, in our case, because I was, I just to finish from my side, just a couple of things, or 2 options for the same. A couple of qualities: commitment and enthusiasm, or commitment and commitment, or enthusiasm and enthusiasm. Only this. A lot of that.
Great. What about you, Janthana?
Tons of enthusiasm and tons of commitment.
Good.
Yes, I think, considering that tech is our core business, so anything to do with technology would be great. Data scientist, data analytics skills we are looking for, but also, kind of general communication skill. They have to be good. They have to manage English writing skills. And of course, the last part is the integrity. We like people who have good have a high level of responsibility and like to learn. So that is the key skills.
Yeah, we should consider that there are like 2 different kind of skills. We have the hard skills that being part of a technology product, yeah, for sure you have to know how to code. Knowing Python for us is important, also knowing MySQL. And we are currently even interviewing a marketeer. So for him or for her, it's important also to know about digital marketing, role hacking strategies, online campaigns, and that stuff. But as Jaume says, and Janthana also said, it's more important the soft skills than the hard skills. And on the top of them, for me at least, is to want to learn a lot. That for sure. Also, commitment and enthusiasm is one of the most important top soft skills that the candidate should have. And yeah, I think that's the most important things.
Great. And just real quickly, do you guys think that startups are the best place or smartest bet to get a job right now? I know you guys mentioned a little bit of that before, but quickly, what would be your thoughts on this?
Well, for me, it's not now the best moment to work in a startup. For me, at least, is always the best moment to work in a startup. In my particular case, in my specific case, I was working on Telefonica, one of the largest telco companies of the world. And the when you are working there, it's easy to get the task done, because you have only to go from the E point to the B point, and it's very easy, but it's also really boring. And then I decided to move to a startup and start working there. And I have to say that it's a place where you can learn of everything, and not only of technology. You can learn more even than in an MBA. So if you are curious and you have interest that you want to learn, it's the best place to do it. It's true that working on a startup, you will probably get exhausted at the end of the day, but you will learn twice or even more that just reading theory. So startups are, at least under my point of view, the best place to work, and not right now, but ever.
Janthana, what about you? What do you think about working in a startup? Sorry.
I think it depends on your career inspirations and what you want to do. Working for startup have many advantages. One of them being, of course, as Josué have already mentioned, that your scope of responsibility is going to be a lot larger and wider than if you were to work for a corporate, especially in your first few years. And because you're going to be working for, kind of founders, you're going to learn a lot from people who have successfully run their business or at a very senior management level, which if you were to go into a corporate environment, you may be working with your immediate managers. They are not, they may not be as experienced as founders, because majority of entrepreneur will have got, like a few decades or a few years of work experience under their belt, and they're probably doing very well in the area to be able to set up their own business. So you have, like the ability to learn more from the best people in the industry. You get, like the flexibility of moving your career. It's easier to move and take on more responsibility in a smaller organizations. Your, career progression could be much faster and steeper because you work with founder that actually care about your performance. Things like that take into account. And also the biggest benefit of working for a startup also is most startup would have very good compensations. For example, there may be share options, there may be like a very good bonus scheme to be more competitive with the market, to bring the best people. So you get all the benefit of working with founder and have potentially founding shares options that like traditional corporate company wouldn't offer.
Great. Those are excellent points. Jaume, did you have anything to add? I know you were speaking earlier about the big corporations and startups.
Yes, I think that the most important things has already been told, and I absolutely agree with that. But just to, let's say, open a new point of view, first of all, I should say that there are a lot of excellent startups, and there are a lot of terrific startups, in such a way that there are a lot of excellent big companies, and there are others that not so good, right? So it depends at the end on the place where you're coming in, right? But specifically related to the question that where is the best bet to get a job, I think that we could focus on two different things. So one thing should be which one is the best bet to get a job after you have finished your internship, or the other one should be which one is the best bet to get a job because you have learned much more about that business, right? Again, in this case, depending on the area, in our case, pharmaceutical and chemical industry, get a job directly after you have finished your internship maybe is more probable on a big company than on a startup, because at least in our case, every year we have 2, 3, 5 internships. So and we cannot grow in such a big speed, right? But if you look at, as Josué mentioned before, how wide or deep will be your knowledge or your experience about the whole business, I think that in this case, startups are the best option because, as I mentioned before, you will be in touch with the CEO, with all the people in the company every day. So you will be working in science, developing a new molecule, but you will know about finances, about customers, about the whole life of the company. And probably this will prepare you better for the final job, right? Point number one. Point number two, if after being having made your internship time in a startup, then you decide to make your own startup immediately, that is something that it's common, and probably in the business of Josué is more probable. So if you have been saying on a previous startup, you will be much better prepared, of course.
Great, thank you. And I know we're just about out of time, so I wanted to open it up to any questions that our participants have had. Thank you so much for taking time out of, I know everyone's busy schedules, to be here today. If you'd like to unmute yourself and ask a question, or if you wanted to submit a question through the chat, they would be happy to answer. So please feel free to ask any questions at this time to our host companies.
Okay, thanks a lot for this pleasant time, of course. And again, I didn't mention about our contact data, but of course, through you, if someone has some question or so, I will be pleased to answer back through you, of course. You can ask all the questions that could be of your interest, please.
Thank you. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask at this time or write in the chat. As well, you can contact us afterwards the session if you have any questions you'd like to ask. I'll leave my email here as well. Or if there's anything else you guys wanted to share about your... Okay, question for Tapoly. What can one expect the recruiting process to look like for the internship?
So who is that question addressed to?
For you, Janthana, sorry.
Okay, yes. Obviously we work with recruitment company like Absolute Internships. So we expect our recruitment to be slightly light and focus on the skill side as opposed to, you know, kind of their interest. Provided they got the right attitude or the right value, as well as, you know, being enthusiastic about our company and our industry, we tend to they tend to get through the interview process.
Great, thank you. And someone else asked, I'm curious about cultural aspects of learning in your workplace, business culture. So for example, I know Josué and Jaume, you're both in Spain. What someone would learn about, doing business in Spain, working in Spain. And then Janthana, you being in London. What I know you were speaking about the buddy, which is great to learn about the culture. If you have anything to share about that, of learning about how business works in your culture.
I think, we've got very international culture. I myself, for example, I'm really funny that I've been in London for about 20 years now, but I was born in Thailand, grew up in Sweden. I live in Germany, outside UK for a while as well. So I've, been kind of I've grown up, work, live, and born in different part of the world. So I got a mixed match of kind of international attitude. And I also work for international company like JP Morgan, UBS, Deutsche Bank, for example. So, and all my colleagues are from all over the world. So it's my network. The team is also quite mixed. We've got people from all over the world, from different countries, culture, religions. And so I would say, we cater for being a global international company. And as a SaaS company, our client is the world. We don't have specific country that we can offer solution to. We can offer our solution pretty much in any country that require our services. And therefore, we recruit people that reflect the global population, if that makes sense.
Great, thank you. Jaume, yeah?
In our case, as I mentioned before, we are a local, worldwide operating company because of our activities. So we need to be in touch with scientists and chemical pharmaceutical companies all around the world. So in terms of professional relationships, we are technicians and scientists working and discussing together about molecules. So not so much space for culture and other issues. Other thing is, if in the case of internship, if these foreign people is working and living with us. So of course, if we are sharing 8-10 years per day, not weekends, of course, this has a lot of time for a lot of things. So we discuss about science, about molecules, but of course we have also, let's say, relaxed time, and then of course we share our experiences, our way of doing. And for instance, I understand, or I think that at this specific moment with presidential elections in the States, should be a great issue to be discussed within people of different countries. This would be really amazing, right? If we have foreign professionals or foreign students with us, this is a must, and it's really interesting during the week working time, and of course also some weekends, some going for lunch, for dinner, one day, that kind of things happen, of course. In the case that because of this pandemic situation, our internships are electronic, so this is much more difficult.
Thank you. And Josué, did you have anything you wanted to share about cultural aspects in your workplace?
Yeah, I totally agree with Jaume and Janthana. It's true that learn about the company is very important, especially when you are working on a very small company. And yeah, it's important. And well, you won't learn not only about in the technology case about how the structure is mounted, how the architecture works, but also we'll learn about the people who is working in the company. So, for example, I remember that when Yunus, the last internship we have, joined us, we made a daily video call, and I was on holiday. So when I connected to Google Meets, I was showing it was in Cordoba. So I was like, yeah, you have to mount this architecture, but also you can enjoy the architecture of Cordoba. So
That's nice.
you can learn a lot about the culture of other countries, especially today in which we live connected worldwide. And you can learn about a lot of people around the world. And as easy as this, you can see that in this event we are a lot of people from different countries, and we probably have different points of view of a specific topic. So just start talking about it is the way to learn. So
Great. And
way.
thank you. We had a question, one more for you guys, asking about minimum required level of Spanish for interning with you in Spain.
In our case, at least, we don't require a Spanish language. As you can see, my English is not the best, so we can't require Spanish for you. If you are able to understand me on English, at least in our case, that is like the international language. That's enough for us. So, as we said, it's more important to have aptitude with P, but also attitude with C. So just want to learn and want to go out of your comfort zone is more important than the language that you speak.
In our case, more or less the same that Jose is telling. Inside the company, because of for years English has been the scientific language. So we usually move with English, Catalan, and Spanish inside the company. And outside, because that's also an important issue too, I think that it depends on how comfortable could you feel moving in our case, for instance, in Barcelona, with a better or worse level of Spanish and Catalan. Because Barcelona is a very well-known touristic city. I know a lot of people that without a word of Spanish and much less Catalan can move perfectly well. At the end, on downtown. If you go on suburbs or so, it should not be the same. But on the other side, probably you will not move there alone. So the first week or two, you will have your mates, your friends, whatever, and then you will go together to visit sites or to move or enjoy free time downtown. So I think it's not a problem at all. And I think at the last time that I had seen information about the majority, I think that at least in the specific case of Barcelona, there are more than 300 different languages that are spoken from people currently living here. So not a problem at all.
That's great. Well, thank you everyone so much for your time. I know we've gone over today, so thank you again. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send me an email, or our speakers an email as well. They'd be happy to respond. And thanks again for your time and logging in with us today.
It has been a pleasure, and let's stay in touch.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And thank you, Sabrina, for this event.